Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I concur that a lot of the obstacles to peace in that region have changed dramatically in the last several years. And Dr. Carlin and Ambassador Jeffrey, tell me, where should our focus be in 2026 to try to facilitate these opportunities? I see them as opportunities. Certainly the Syrian president was here, but what would be the primary steps that we should begin now? And Ambassador Jeffries, and then Carlin, could you please respond?
Short term, I believe the single biggest contribution you could make, because it's where I think the administration may be wavering, is to keep a few U.S. troops on, along with the heroic diplomats and assistance people that we move in and out of Syria, until the situation stabilizes, particularly in the Northeast. We know what's going to happen with the ISIS prisoners and families, and we know how the campaign against ISIS continues. That's the single immediate thing. A longer term, it is to ensure that we focus on verifiable agreements supported by the international community for the integration of these minorities that we've talked so much about. As we've heard from my colleagues on this table, if there isn't integration and a buy-in from these people, we will see Syria descend into crisis again. And any administration needs help from you people, be it funding, be it hearings like this.
Is there a coordinated role that Europe can play with us on that effort?
Coordinated role with what?
With Europe.
Yes, but more importantly is with the Arab states. That is Qatar, Saudis,
The
and
moderate,
the Turks.
we refer to
Exactly.
as moderate Arab states. And do you see that there's a determination after the challenges they've had with Israel with Gaza? Are they prepared to do that?
I believe so. We are moving into phase 2 on Gaza slowly, but I'm encouraged by that. The Israelis and Syrians came to a preliminary agreement on the 9th of January last month, and there is considerable back and forth between Israel and the moderate Arab states today, despite Gaza.
Yes. Madam Carlin?
Yeah, thank you very much, Congressman. I would add a couple points. I do think we have to better understand what the U.S. military is doing in Syria. Particularly, we've seen it looks like about 2,000 or so of the ISIS prisoners have been moved to Iraq. There is a plan to move a couple thousand more of them. That probably makes a degree of sense given the level of stability in Iraq compared to Syria. If that is the case, what is actually the mission, the rules of engagement, and the purpose of the U.S. military staying in Syria? The other piece I would highlight, in addition to what Ambassador Jeffrey did, is the really important role the U.S. is playing in terms of bringing Syria and Israel together and Lebanon and Israel together. So that latter one, for example, is crucial to making sure that the Lebanese government continues the historic steps it has started and has a whole lot more to go in terms of establishing operational control and disarming Hezbollah. On the former, on the Syria-Israel piece, making sure that that is a quiet border, making sure that the Israelis are able to have trust in Damascus and its willingness to behave as a responsible security partner is all really crucial for some sort of stability in the Levant.
How much disruption do we think Hezbollah is still capable of doing in those neighborhoods?
So they have been devastated at the leadership level and operationally, and it doesn't appear as though they have been able to substantially rearm. They have largely permitted the Lebanese military to take the steps it has over the last few months to disarm them south of the Litani River. What's not entirely clear is the extent to which they've gotten more money. It appears as though that has happened to some extent, and so I think we need to watch this space. They are
part of their money source from Iran?
Money source from Iran, indeed, and frankly, just going through other systems that aren't terribly well monitored because the Lebanese economy is devastated. Frankly, it's a really cash-heavy economy.
Oh, we have a number of failed states there
Indeed. So it's pretty easy to get money through. So I worry a lot about that, slightly less about the weapons. Right now, look, Hezbollah is still in some disarray. They also know things are about to get harder for them if the military decides, and I hope that it does, to keep on going further north and to the Bekaa Valley to actually disarm them.
Well, my time's expired, Mr. Chairman, but I'd like to hear more about the carrots and sticks that we have available to us with our European allies and the Mideastern states that we're working with to try to facilitate some important goals in 2026. Thank you very much. I'll yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. And if time allows, I'm more than happy to move into a second round of questioning later.